We'll show him Chinese boxing.
Yeah. Chinese boxing. Yeah.
Sit down in the middle. Sit the bitch down in the middle. And yes, these shots right here, it's arm punches. But when I want to shoot some hard shit, you can. That's whenever I want to.
Okay, so this is a video of Bruce Lee hitting the punch bag. Now, there's a guy who narrated this video and he was saying, look at the power of Bruce Lee. And he was talking about how, Bruce Lee he's not showing the best form technique. You can clearly see the power because he knows. He sounds like a buffoon trying to defend this. This is terrible form, terrible technique. Look at his hand position, low hands, leaning forward. Now, this is not a big bag. And Bruce Lee is leaning forward trying to get all of his power into his shot. And even in doing so, this is a huge mistake. And there's no trainer in the history of boxing that would train their fighter to throw punches this way. Okay, and first off, this is a surely get knocked out. He has no way to react to defense. His hands is down low, and even with head movement, we're talking about professional fighting. And if you're even impressed by watching him hit his bag, it's obvious you can't fight, you've never fought, don't understand boxing, and you're just a Bruce Lee fan. We all love Bruce Lee, like I said, as an actor, coming up, watching him, love his movies and all. But to compare Bruce to an actual real fighter is crap. I told people that this was a guy named Howard Huey, and they were laughing at him and mocking him and saying, look at this crappy punches he's throwing. And when they realized it was Bruce Lee and I told them, they all started eating crow. Now, let's begin this video. What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants. Oh, hey. So we're going to do this video, and I'm going to have some fun with this. Now, I want to respond to something that someone said in the comment section. I want to break down what he said, and I want to explain some things. And this is why I start the video off the way I do. And I'm going to show you some things. Now, before I get to it, let me just explain some things real quick, okay? It's not so much about me. I have nothing to prove to people personally, and, I don't really care. Let me show you something. When I was 10 years old, 10, this is my first pair of nunchucks. I will fuck you up with these nunchucks. I know how to use them very well, okay? My very first pair, you see who's on there? Do you see who's on there? Yeah. My very first pair. Bruce Lee is on my nunchucks. Gold nunchucks. And I'm sitting here like, wow. I got, 10 years old. I still have them to this day. Now, you can see how, for me using them and practicing with them, hitting things and all, I didn't start off with foam nunchucks. I started off with these motherfuckers right here. Okay? This pair right here. Okay? As you can see, same thing. I'm a bad motherfucker with these. It's not about doing it for the cameras. No, I know how to fucking... In fact, these helped me defend myself at 11 years old against a fucking Rottweiler that got over his fence, okay? So, yeah. Okay. There was a guy named Tom. He used to be the landlord of this building on the street I used to live on. I used to work out with him and everything. He was a black belt, had all these trophies and all, whatever. And every time I saw him, he had a little red kickboxing shoes on. Always out, So one day, now at this point, I'm probably like around 16, between 16 and 17. And Tom wanted these. He said he bought them from me. I said, nah, I'm not selling these, right? And I might have told you a story about Tom before. Not in the same exact fashion, but like, and he was always, for whatever reason, he just kept saying he wanted to spar. Okay. I sparred him and I wound up like beating the shit out of him badly. Like, and it wasn't even, it was just, he was too easy to hit and he couldn't do anything with me. Okay. Now, Tom, we never sparred again after that. So Tom had a friend. This big Italian dude. He was a weird guy, man. He was just weird. So one day he was like, yeah, man, I like those nunchucks. He's like, hey, how much did you let them go for? I said, I'm not letting them go. And then he said, because I like these. Now, these are made different, as you can see, with the ridges and all. All right, they're made different, but he just kept trying to, like when someone gets on your nerves and they just keep saying things and like he just kept like, I was getting ready to say, man, do you understand? No means no. I'm not selling my shit. Then he said, how about this? This is how I got these. He said, we'll spar. I'll fight you for these. If you beat me, you get these. If I beat you, I get those. Winner walks away with both. I said, you sure you want to do that? Oh, yeah, fuck yeah, man, yeah. Now, mind you, this is a grown-ass man. I'm a minor. As you can see, I got both of them. All right. Case in point, we grew up loving Bruce Lee as an actor, as I said. These right here are my favorite. All right? They remind me of wind chimes, man. The sound that they make. I love these. Okay? I have 2 pairs. All right? I don't have these motherfuckers just to have them. Got the carrying case for them and everything. Okay? So, that all being said, right? I'm not just some average dude off the street that don't, got an attitude, chip on my shit. No, I know how to take care of myself very well. And the difference, okay, if you grew up watching professional wrestling, most kids thought this shit was real. I didn't know what to call professional wrestling, but I just knew nobody really fought like that in real life. I see a ring. They're wearing shorts and like little drawers and boots and knee pads. And I'm trying to figure out what the fuck wrestling is. We used to watch it. The family watched it. Wrestling used to be like a family show when I was a kid. And so I ended up, I just knew something. It just didn't look real to me. It's just like entertainment. But I didn't understand it, like what the fuck it was. You understand what I mean? Like when I see boxing, Muay Thai fighting, and karate tournaments, it don't look like what the fuck? Like what is this shit, right? So by the time I was like 10, I knew it was bullshit. It just looked like it just didn't, like what do you call this shit, right? And so, okay, fast forward. Boxing is constant training. You put your body through a lot to get in fight shape. There's a difference. It's called fight shape. Why? You're not in fight shape when you're just in shape. You have weight classes for a reason. If Inoue was to go up in weight right now and fight Tank Davis and lose, people are going to say, oh, Tank was just a bigger man. He was too big. If he was the same size, he would have beat Tank. Okay, if any guy that is a fan favorite, whatever guy goes up in weight and get beat up, his fans are going to use the weight as an excuse. Somehow, none of these things apply to Bruce Lee. He wasn't human. So, to the fellow that commented in the comment section, basically your overall point was they clocked his speed at something 1.5 or 0.5 seconds and all superhuman speed. No, it's not superhuman because a human did it. Okay, a superhuman can do far more than this human shit. People used to say the same thing about Michael Jordan. He had superhuman leaping ability. No, he didn't have superhuman leaping ability. He can jump very high. The fact that a human being did it, he couldn't, okay? Example now, if you could flap your arms real fast and start to levitate and fly, now that would be some superhuman shit. You guys take things, and this is what I told you in the comment section. It's like you're proving my point just by what you're doing. Nothing that you say is there proof of. Just hearsay. Legend says, I don't care how fast they said Bruce Lee jab. Look at my jab. Huh? I'm 255 fucking pounds, huh? You see that shit? You see how quick that fucking jab is? So what? Nothing's coming back at me right now. Demonstrations is not the same as fighting. What did Bruce Lee say in the movie when the dude hit the board, right? Board, don't hit back. Exactly. So throwing a fucking punch, and I'm 255 pounds. I don't have heavyweight speed. I have like welterweight speed. What you put your body through to get in fight shape, I refuse to take an actor. I don't care if it's Michael Jai White, if it's Bruce Lee, if it's Jim Kelly, if it's Jackie Chan. It's a completely different sport. I refuse to take any of them. And Michael Jai White tells you he's not a professional fighter, but he spars heavily with professional fighters, or at one point he did at least. Something about Bruce Lee, you guys just lose all common sense. Like, it's like Bruce Lee's not even human. He can do things that are unimaginable. Like, you believe him playing fucking ping pong, spinning around with the fucking nunchuck. Like, you guys believe anything. Now, if you look at that footage, look at Bruce Lee's form. He's leaning forward to get all of his body weight behind his shots. And look how he's punching, like a rank amateur. That's how he's punching. Now, you let someone throwing punches at you like that whoop your ass? You guys take things in your head and put this movie sequence to it like it was something legendary. I don't have to imagine how fast Muhammad Ali was, how hard he can punch, how great his chin was, and how much of a master he was in that ring, and Ray Robinson and Ray Leonard and Mike Tyson and Salvador Sanchez and all these. I don't have to imagine. I've seen them fight. You know who we haven't seen fight? Bruce Lee. You also mentioned about he did countless sparring. With who? Why is all of the really incredible things Bruce did not on video? I've seen Bruce Lee throw punches and show. Yeah, I didn't never say he didn't have quick hands. I didn't. What does that have to do with him fighting in the ring and winning? And people think it's disrespect. People say things like, oh, the disrespect that people show Bruce. You think that it's disrespectful to take a fucking actor and say he's better than professional fighters that dedicate their life to this shit? That's not disrespectful? I don't really care how people take it. The reality is He's not a professional fighter. He doesn't have a fucking a fight record because he was never a fighter. Now, you going from one karate school or your kung fu school to another dojo to challenge some other martial artist, okay, great. That's your realm. That's what you do. But you jumping in there, see, MMA guys may give Bruce Lee that, oh yeah, Bruce, yeah. Any real boxer will tell you bullshit. MMA guys don't do good when they come into boxing, now do they? And you want to know what MMA guys are used to mostly? Making people tap, rolling around. You know what they're not used to? Mostly getting cracked in their fucking chin. This is where I'm telling you. You don't even know if Bruce can take a punch. Could he take a good body shot? You don't even know these things. Now, looking at his hand positioning. His hands are way down here. He's leaning with his chin over his knee. He's squaring up with both feet facing the back. Who in the sweet fuck trains a fighter to fight like that? Now, you look at Floyd Mayweather hitting the bag. Floyd's hitting a much bigger bag. Okay? And Floyd is hitting that bitch hard. You can clearly see Floyd's punches have more thud than Bruce Lee's punches. And Bruce is doing this shit, jumping, he's pushing. Who do you fight like that? You know when you see guys do that in boxing? These amateuristic motherfuckers who get a guy hurt and start squaring up, and then that guy appears to be all out and then throws a shot, bam. And all of a sudden, while they're swinging, boom, they're knocked out. And even if they get the knockout, those are flaws. These are things that you should not do. That's what amateurs do. Look at how Floyd hitting the bag. Look at how Floyd's using combinations. It's as different as night and day. All of this sparring you guys are talking about, where's the footage? See, this is exactly my point. You prove my point. Everything is hearsay with Bruce. As a kid, you couldn't tell me nobody was better than Bruce Lee at martial arts. As a kid, I never compared him to Muhammad Ali. I never compared him to a Ray Leonard or Ray Robinson. I never compared him to those guys. I looked at him strictly in the martial arts world of movies. How the fuck do I know, because someone does good choreography in the movie, that they can fight in real life? Now, not to say Bruce couldn't actually fight and defend himself. I'm saying, me saying that Bruce would have beat, come on, are you fucking like, think about what people telling me he can beat Ray Robinson, he could beat Mike Tyson, he could beat Muhammad Ali. You guys are like, that's like a new kind of stupid. And of all the people, like you've had people call Mike Tyson the baddest man on the planet. These are all terms other people give people. I don't care about all that shit. But you guys are convinced that a 132-pound guy he just could beat everybody. Oh, I don't give a shit about star power. I don't care anything about some unwritten code of not saying somebody's better than somebody. It's bullshit. If anybody is hitting a bag the way Bruce Lee's hitting that bag, they're corrected right away. They're taught how to stand properly. Okay, first of all, who stands like this in a fight? Who throws punches like this? Who throws punches like that? Okay? Leaning forward, both feet facing forward, jumping up. Who does that? No, it's one hand in front of the other. Okay? And when you're hitting that bag and you're putting those combinations together, boom, 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 you're hitting the bag, whatever combinations you're throwing, right? That's what you're doing. You're working on your timing. Boom, boom. Every now and then you'll throw a hard one in there, whatever, right? But your hands is not here. Bruce Lee's hands is here. He's doing this. This is exactly what Bruce is doing. No one throws punches like that. That shit is coming from here. Okay? You don't throw uppercuts like this. Okay? Bam! Uppercut. Okay? Bam! Uppercut. Uppercuts don't come like this. This is what Bruce Lee's doing. So what he's trying to do is use his body weight to lean forward to make the bag move. He's trying to get power behind those punches with body weight. That's what he was doing. Do you know how many people come into a gym and it's like, let me see you throw a jab. Well, you know what I mean? No. Let me see a combination. What combination are you going to throw? They don't know any combinations. So now they're trying to impress the person asking, so they just start throwing anything. Okay. Most of the time, if not all the time, the reason, that's the first punch, the first punch you learn, period, all the time, is a jab. Everything works off the jab. What happens if, okay, like, let's take example. A guy like Roy Jones was gifted, right? Blazing hand speed, reflexes, all that, right? Roy Jones was so fast and so calculated. Roy could catch you with the right with the straight left, the straight right without throwing a fucking jab. But Roy had a jab. And I notice when people say that about Roy, they don't mention his jab. Roy had a fucking jab. He just didn't need it. That's how good he was. Now, if Roy Jones had all the speed and everything he had, but he wasn't training to fight every day. He was acting, and he was just going around from gym to gym, just fighting a guy here and there. You think Roy Jones would have been the same? Like he could just do those things without training? Like I said before, I can't tell you how good somebody could be or what they're going to be. We have to look at what they have. So in boxing and all these other sports, we have weight classes where we have situations where certain guys are not ready to fight certain guys. They need more time. You guys say Bruce Lee, as is, would just destroy anybody. Street fight, ring, anything. And I say, where's your proof? You know, if I ask a person a question like this, right? I'll show you logic versus stupidity. If I say to a person, do you believe in the Bible? They say yes. And I say, do you believe a dead man can talk? They say no. Do you believe a dead man can write? No. Do you believe that people can come out their grave and walk around? No. And I find that when those people say that, it's because they don't realize in the Bible those things are supposed to happen. Now, as soon as you point out that it's in the Bible, well, now they want to try to change their tune and move the goalposts. It's like, no. You just fucking sat here and said, like when I told a guy that was a guy named Howie, or whatever the fuck I told him, he believed me. And then when they realized it was Bruce Lee, it was like, oh shit. They realized they walked right into a trap. And I say to these people, so Moses wrote 5 books of the Bible, according to the Bible, right? You do know Moses died in the Bible, right? And then continued to write books while he was dead. I mean, well, like Tupac is still making records. No, stupid. Tupac is not still making fucking records. Unreleased records of Tupac was being released. But conspiracy theorists tell you Tupac is still alive. They said that they saw him in Bali and all this. I mean, people, they did the same thing when Bruce Lee died. Okay? Bruce Lee's not really dead. Bruce Lee was spotted. And it's so funny. Every time somebody spot Bruce Lee, he's somewhere doing Kung Fu. Like that's all the fuck. Like, you know, like, really? Really? Okay. So when I ask people questions like that, I'm asking the questions based on the information given. John the Baptist was illiterate. How the fuck could he read and write? Now, the Bible says he was, but all of a sudden he can read and write. Moses was, and John the Baptist would have been dead far before he could write his own gospel the same way. And it's a bunch of anonymous writers, and it's in the fucking Bible concordance. It tells you. It does anonymous writers. They don't have the name. They don't even know that these people even existed. So the people that it says wrote these gospels, they don't even have any proof of that. And it tells you in the Bible concordance. And the Bible telling you walk by faith and not by sight is because we don't see flaming swords up in the air. We've never seen a Red Sea divide. Like, for example, right? If I took this fucking Pringles jar, right? Now, let's just say you can run across that, right? Look how tall that is. That means I can fill this up with water. So if I say, when Moses and his people ran across the Red Sea, how could they fucking do this without falling into that hole? Because the Bible doesn't tell you that they levitated in the air. It tells you that they ran across as the waters was divided. Okay, so oceans and seas, right? They range from 12,000 feet, 12,000 to 35,000 feet. So what you're telling me is, it's like the water is on this table, for example. That's how they made it seem in the movie. And that's how people interpret it when they visualize it, is that the water is just opened up and went up in the air. So somehow, there wasn't a pit. Water doesn't just lay on fucking flat land and rise up like that. You understand what I'm saying? It has to be cornered in. It has to have something that it's inside of, like a bowl, like this tube, not on flat land. So that means there was a big ass pit and they just ran across the Red Sea and didn't fall into it. You understand what I'm saying? And instead of saying, you know what, that's true, I don't know, they will try to find every excuse to try to defend their position, and they have nothing to defend. So just like this Bruce Lee story, it's like, I don't care what Jim Kelly says about how good Bruce was. I don't care what anybody say. I don't care what Sammo Hung say. I don't care what no one says. All of these opinions and these things that people are saying, all I say is, where is the proof? It's like I make comparisons. I'm using analogies because I try to get you guys, I'm just trying to bring awareness to common sense, okay? You don't have common sense if you don't have common knowledge of something. It's like when people say they saw Bigfoot. Why is it when the cameras are on, all you see is, and all of a sudden, and the camera starts shaking. Oh my God, what the fuck was that? Oh my God, and right, all this goofy shit. Notice when the cameras are not running, Bigfoot walked, and in one step he went, and then he jumped and disappeared, and they did all this magical shit. But when the camera's on, we never see this stuff. And anything, this thing was running like 300 miles per hour. It was all of these things it does. You have all these different species of Bigfoot that they can do no experiments on, no research on, because they can't find one. Not a baby one, not alive. You've never seen two Bigfoots fucking. Nothing. Nothing. Yet, I've seen a bear out here that the color was like, I don't know, well, if you guys can really see this, if the color, the fur on that bear was kind of like it was like a pinkish, almost like a weird, I've never seen that before. Okay? I've seen albino deers, shit like that. I don't know what the fuck happened with this bear's fur, but, you know, okay. So my point, people, what I'm saying, people like to make up things and they like to use their imagination, and they'll start saying more shit than what the truth is. Now, somebody telling me, like example, one thing you will never hear a real fighter do is say someone else was better than them. They would never put themselves beneath someone. That's why people beef with Chuck Norris, because he failed. He refused to say Bruce was better than him. He'll give Bruce his credit and all, but Jim Kelly and anybody else that bows to him, or submits to, oh, Bruce was this and Bruce, right? What fucking fighter have you ever heard say, well, I know this guy's going to knock me out, but hey, I'm just going to go and hope I get lucky? Would you respect a fighter like that? So this is what happens with programming. People start telling you something about a person and you start going, yeah, it's true. Okay, based on what? It's like asking a religious person, where's the ark at? Where's this big boat? Where's the cross that Jesus was nailed to? Why do these monumental artifacts, why do these things just disappear all of a sudden? Why does God want us to speak of his existence and prove this is the creator of all? He needs us to do his work for him, to make it known that he's real. Why does he need us to do that? Why? I mean, it would be easy to just show yourself. Well, if you see God, you'll die. Based on what? Words. Something someone tell you. Some shit you read, but there's no proof of. Like, you can put 100 people in a room and you can say, what's 9 times 9? If everybody knows how to do multiplication, they'll tell you it's 81. You could take those same 100 people and put them in a room and you can read biblical verses to them, and most of them won't even agree on what that scripture means. They all have something different, and they use stupid little excuses like, well, I have my own personal experience with God, so I know God has done things. They try to deflect from what the fuck the question is and what you're talking about, or they'll just go into this whole, yeah, but God worked with everybody different. Now, why the fuck would God want me and you to see things different if he wants us to follow him? If one of us is seeing something that's making us question, how could this be? Like when you ask people about slavery and they try to condone it. Well, no, it wasn't the same. Well, right. Would you want to be a slave? Like the scripture where God tells Moses and his troops to go in, kill every man, woman, and child. All the boys, all the girls, take the virgins for yourselves. Kill the babies, the infants, and the animals. And here's the deal. Who are they having sex with? Who? Who's virgins? More than likely, girls, not grown-ass women. Would you want that to happen to your daughter? Huh? If a man shall sell his daughter as a sex slave, this is all shit in the Bible. So when you read it to people, I love to do that. When I ask a person, I'll say something like it's my words, and they'll say, "Damn, Aries, that's harsh. I don't know if I agree with that." Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because that's what your Bible says and what it condones. Now it's, well, yeah, it's always a well. Now let me try to make it mean something else. Bruce Lee, people, was a bad man on that screen. Bruce Lee, like I said, probably could hold his own in a fight for real in the streets or whatever. But Bruce Lee jumping in the ring, beating a professional fighter. And I'm not talking about some fucking bum. Let's just say it like it is. I ain't talking about some bum that ain't accomplished shit, that ain't worth the shit. I'm talking him. No. Because there's guys in the pro ranks that shouldn't be there. And that's all we've been saying from day one. In this era, people are very immature, very childish. So anything that you say in this era, it's like it's hate if you don't agree with somebody or if you see something differently. Now, I'll tell you what. If Floyd Mayweather, if Manny Pacquiao, if Muhammad Ali, if Marvin Hagler, if anybody was hitting that bag the way Bruce was, any boxing fan would be going, what the fuck is he doing? If Bruce can't hit a fucking punching bag properly, okay, how is he going to throw a punch properly in a fight against a real boxer? Legend has it, Joe Louis moved a 500-pound barrel of hay with a 6-inch punch. Okay, if you listen to the people tell that story, they make you think Joe Louis is breaking everybody's jaw. He had bodies on his record. How many jaws did he break? How many people did he actually kill? I don't care how hard you punch. I don't care how fast you are. I don't care about what people say you are until you get in there and you're getting punched in your fucking ribs and punched in your head and all this. Guy said Bruce had one-punch knockout power. Okay, there's a lot of guys that got one-punch knockout power. But when you say that, based on what? Who was he knocked out? See, all you can tell me is demonstrations and little tests. I can tell you how that don't mean shit. Perfect example for that. There's a video. You can pull it up on YouTube. Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia was together somewhere, or at the same event somewhere. And the little speed bag that counts your PPI, okay, your punch for square inch, okay. Devin Haney's number was higher than Ryan Garcia's. Yeah, they hit that shit like 2 or 3 times, and every time, Devin had the heavier punch. Okay, when Devin Haney throws a punch and when Ryan Garcia throws a punch in a fight, who hits harder? And it's easy to see who hits harder, isn't it? So what does it matter? I don't give a fuck how. I can throw a punch and they can record my shit. I don't have superhuman strength, and I am extremely powerful, extremely fast, extremely intelligent. When you get in there, see, I've done this shit, and I know it's a difference. And this is why I say, when you talk about fight shape, and when they talk about cutting weight and making weight, and that even a pound, 1 pound makes a difference. Oh yeah, with rehydration and all this stuff, it all makes a difference. And you being at full strength, this is what I'm saying about the fight game. Bruce Lee was not that. Bruce Lee was an actor. You guys say things differently from what Bruce Lee said. Like I told you before, Bruce Lee's words was Ali would kill him in a fight. He'd have to bite Ali, gouge him in the eye, hit him, stuff like that. Fighting is about survival. Well, in the ring, he would kill me. This is Bruce Lee's words, but you guys tell the story. Bruce Lee would beat everybody. You guys actually think that Bruce Lee was a real live version of One Punch Man. Like you really believe that anime shit is real. Perception. Before Mike Tyson got in there and had his fixed fight with Jake Paul, I said, Mike Tyson is done, man. He's finished. And they like, man, Jake Paul, this, Jake. But Holyfield, I don't give a fuck what Evander Holyfield said. I don't care what Lennox Lewis said. I don't care what Riddick Bowe. I don't give a fuck what none of them said. My 2 eyes watched an old man who, way past his prime, I didn't even know about the 8 blood transfusions at that point. I just knew his legs looked shaky. Every exercise he did, he was huffing and puffing. Right? He was like, it's like he had to strain himself to do anything. And this is a guy that's going to go in here for 8 rounds or however long and throw punches and heavy leather. His balance was gone. I saw this in his training. I told you guys, and you guys know, you can go on my archives. I told you guys, Mike is done. The only way Jake Paul loses this fight is if he's worse than we even see him as, because Mike is finished. Mike is cooked. Mike is food. If the Jake Paul fight didn't happen, that's what everybody would have thought. Mike would have killed this guy. Okay? This version of Mike, of course. Kimbo Slice is a guy who, when people, he's so overrated. How was Kimbo Slice overrated, man? Kimbo Slice has said, plain and simple, I'm not a boxer, I'm not an MMA guy, but I throw these hands, and he did what he did for money. Now, let's take Kimbo Slice's legend from fighting in the streets, and let's just say, for example, after he knocked out Tank Abbott, let's say his first 2 or 3 people that he knocked out, let's say he would have died after that. Do you know how they would have tried to build him into being a superhuman, to sell a story, to get interest, to sell merchandise? Or do you understand? This is what people do. They would have told you there's no limits to what Kimbo Slice could have did. Look at what he did against Tank Abbott and this guy and that, right? That's what people do. If Roy Jones retires after John Ruiz, they rank Roy Jones higher than they rank him now. Oh, yeah. And the assumptions of what Roy would have done afterwards. Well, maybe if he stayed at heavyweight, he would have won again, maybe. But losing 25 pounds of muscle, dropping right back down, and then going at 175, he was so drained in that first Antonio Tarver fight. Second fight, after he got knocked out, he was never the same Roy again. Now, my whole thing is, these are all seasoned pro fighters who's been through ups and downs, had to cut weight and make weight. Bruce Lee ain't never had to deal with none of that shit. And yet, you put him in the same category, and even higher. Put him in a higher category on top of that, as a Sugar Ray Robinson or Mike Tyson. Let me tell y'all something, man. It wouldn't take the best boxer to beat Bruce Lee in the boxing ring. And even in a fucking fight, you can talk all of this. He had superhuman power. No, he doesn't have superhuman power. Okay? Anything that's permanent to you, if I can do it, it's not superhuman. I can be extremely powerful, but it's within my motherfucking capability of doing it. It's not superhuman. Simple. It's just as simple as that. Somebody may come along, can jump higher than the highest jumper recorded, run faster than the fastest runner recorded, punch harder than the hardest puncher recorded, right? All this type of, it's not superhuman. Can we fly? Can I shoot laser beams up my eyes? Can I leap tall buildings with in a single bound? No. Everything that we do is what the human body is capable of doing. Don't get caught up into the word salad that people throw out there to make you repeat what they're saying. And now here you are saying Bruce Lee had superhuman speed. And once again, hearsay. Now when I say prove it, show me his fighting record, even show me all this sparring footage. You could at least pull up Jim Kelly, and there was like 2 or 3 where he's having like a karate, he's part of a karate tournament they're fighting. And I think like 2 with Michael Jai White. I've never seen Bruce Lee do any of it. And once again, in that martial arts realm of that, yeah, nobody's taking it from him. And part of the problem with boxing is because you got all these circus acts, all these people who can't make the money that they need and that they want in the UFC, so they cross over and go into boxing. Because they're not going to get $40 million in one night in the UFC ring, cage. So all that kind of shit, right? And then you got them saying things like, "Oh, boxing is easy. All you're doing is punching," right? But then you go and get knocked the fuck out, which is why every MMA guy said the same lame shit before they get in there. All right, I'm gonna fight you in boxing. Fight me in MMA. Jake Paul fights nothing but washed up guys. He fights guys that's not worthy of anything at this point in their career, right? What he hasn't done is jumped in an MMA ring or MMA cage yet, right? Why? You see, not only is the money not what he wanted to be, but he knows he's not skilled enough. But he can go in there and fight old, washed up guys. He can go in there and fight guys that never boxed a day in their life, but they're MMA guys. Why do MMA guys not make out good in boxing? Clarissa Shields, Holly Holmes, anybody that went from boxing to MMA had to go into MMA and learn that shit. And we seen Clarissa getting an armbar to where her shit was like, and she refused to give up. You understand what I'm saying? She refused. She showed like, nah, man, you gonna have to break my shit. Right? But she went in there. Now, as far as in the street, anything goes. As far as a sport, no, she had to go in there and learn. If they can get past her hands and can get her on the ground and she don't know what she's doing with us, hey, no different. James Tony Randy Couture. Clarissa Shields is a real deal fighter. Now, how good she's going to get at MMA, we don't know. We have to see. But she's, she where she is right now, but she still had to learn and understand what she was getting herself into, like she said. Holly Holmes, no different. But why is it when these motherfuckers come into boxing, it's different? Because they're not used to getting punched in their fucking face and getting beat the fuck up like that. It's like I'm telling you, it's a different sport. It's a whole different scenario. Now, for all these pro fighters that put their bodies to the test, that's been battle tested in these respective sports, y'all think a 132-pound actor. Now, you guys are the ones saying it's not Bruce Lee, you guys, that he can go in there and just terrorize everybody. He just blow through people. Bullshit. Bruce would get dog walked. Can he learn? Could he ever learn to become one of those? I guess. Everybody ain't just what you think they are. Michael Jordan was the greatest at basketball. Does that mean he can go play baseball and be the same type of player? I think we know the answer to that. Deion Sanders was effective in baseball and football. Bo Jackson was effective in football and baseball. Everybody don't have the same level of capability. And Michael Jordan surpassed Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders in his sport at the highest level compared to what they was at their, respective sport. Okay? But he wasn't nearly as good in baseball as he was in basketball. And this is what I'm saying. You guys just think Bruce could do anything. And it's like, it's no Bruce Lee hate here. It's the reality. Where the fuck do y'all get this information from? Like hearsay. No, I want to see some results. I don't give a... Can you walk into a place to get a job and you have to have a college degree and you just tell them you have one, just take my word for it, and they just put you to work and hire you? No. You have to show them proof. You have to show them proof. You guys, without seeing anything, repeat what you hear and then say it's true. It's facts. Nah. It's not facts. In reality, like I said, man, I grew up, I can show you my movie collection, man. I the Shaw Brothers shit, especially like everything. Grew up loving martial arts movies and all that. Started learning how to, I dabbled with a lot of shit. Boxing was my first love and all, but I dabbled with wrestling, everything. Went to karate school, did all the shit I was doing. And there's a difference in the training. I know there's a difference in how karate guys train versus, but I know. You're not telling somebody who don't know. I know. You guys just say shit because you want it to be true. But I'm not going to, put Bruce Lee or any fucking actor over a pro fighter. I'm just not going to do it. Sugar Ray Robinson tried to go into acting and singing and stuff. Didn't work out for him. Had to come back to boxing. Okay? So that would be like me saying Ray Robinson is a better actor than Bruce Lee. Based on what? He can make better movies than Bruce Lee. Based on what? Where am I getting this from? This is what you guys are doing. Hearsay. I heard he was... Right, exactly. You heard, but you don't see shit. And when you see something, like the video... Let me demonstrate once again. It's just like for me dressed like I am. You probably don't even know, man. I'm 255 fucking pounds. I'm not a small guy at all. Okay? You remember the demonstration where Bruce Lee did this? And the guy goes and falls into the chair. And they're on the slippery floor. So when he goes into the chair, the guy slides in the chair and people, oh. Now, here's the deal. The guy is facing Bruce Lee like this. Both feet facing this way. So when Bruce Lee shoves him, he goes back. Your little kid can push you and make you go backwards. Now, if that guy had been standing with one foot in front of the other and Bruce Lee did that same thing, that guy wouldn't have went no fucking way. I'm 255. If I step in and throw a kick, whoever I kick, you stand in, you're going to fly. Bruce Lee is not doing this against heavyweights. He's doing this against little guys. Even when you say he sparred this guy and that, no, look. If I'm teaching you and you don't know what I know, I'm more skilled than you. I've seen little guys spar heavyweights in boxing. So what the fuck does that mean? You're teaching someone that's not on your level. And you get the best of them. Once again, hype up stories to try to make it seem like somebody's better at something than what they actually are. And that's all it is. And this is no dig at Bruce. This is just basically correcting the bullshit that people say. You can say whatever you want about how they recorded his speed or his so-called power of his kick and all. That shit doesn't mean shit. How you put it together in that ring. You know how many people we've seen fight Canelo? And people like Canelo flat-footed. Oh, man, he ain't got no head. He this or that, right? But isn't it funny how when they feel that first Canelo punch, all of a sudden the fight just changed? It's different once you get in there. It's even like people saying, like, I feel like if Crawford does fight Canelo, he's going to come to win. I can't sit here and tell you what's going to happen if the fight actually does happen and Canelo cracks him with I can't tell you how he's going to react. I can say I've had no reason to think he react different. At the same time, we never thought Jermell Charlo, we never seen him react the way he did against any other opponent. And if Canelo does win, if they actually fight, if the Crawford fans will start saying, oh man, it's only because Canelo was too big, then no, don't even say that shit. He wanted to fight more than Canelo did. So if it does happen and Canelo beats him, then Canelo just won. If he beats Canelo, no excuse. And he's older than Canelo, so they can't go to that with that age shit. But at the end of the day, even with age, some guys can last longer than others. But guess what? That's a you problem, not your opponent's. So we're not going to try to taint anybody's win. Once again, plain and simple, man. This dude right here gave us a lot of good times on the big screen. That's what we know him from. We do not know him from fighting. I don't give a fuck how many martial artists he fought. I don't care if he sparred with some washed up boxer that nobody, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I know it's a whole different ball game in that boxing ring, in that MMA cage. It's different. But in that boxing ring especially, that's why you can look around at any sport and you don't see people walking around with brain damage. But in boxing, you get that all the time. So the fact that people have this robotic programmed way of thinking, it's like, oh, it's blasphemy. No, you can look at a person like there's some deity or whatever, but no, bullshit. We're all human. And there was nothing supernatural about Bruce Lee or anybody else. I've never seen a performer like Michael Jackson ever, and we probably never will. Michael Jackson wasn't superhuman. He just did shit, made it look so smooth because we can't do it. You understand what I'm saying? When somebody can do something that you can't, it looks that much more impressive. When it comes to fighting, nobody fucking makes me look like I can't beat them, or I feel like no, ain't no way. I don't give a fuck if you're 132, 232, 332. I will fight anybody the same fucking way. Do you understand? There's no, right. But whenever a big man beats a small man, that's what they always say, right? A good big man will always beat a good little man. But this doesn't apply to Bruce. That's my point. You have been programmed to think Bruce Lee was anything other than human. Well, not to be funny, but he died at 32 years old. Could he survive something that killed other humans? No. So what's superhuman about him? Like, you guys, you're the ones who put this stuff out here. And I'm responding to it. And to the guy that responded to my video, hey man, I heard what you said. I read what you said, but it's like I said to you, man, you just basically proved my point. Because nothing you can say points to anything he's done in any combat sport. Just him fighting unsanctioned fights. I don't care about legend and what people say. I go by what's real. And once again, in closing this video, I don't have to imagine what Muhammad Ali could do, what Mike Tyson could do, what Evander Holyfield could do, what Julio Cesar Chavez could do. I don't have to imagine what they can do. We know. Not one of you can tell us anything that Bruce Lee's done because you saw it. There's footage of it. Him actually fighting someone, a pro fighter, not no fucking other martial arts dude. If you guys want to see something interesting, type in like Shaolin Monk versus MMA guy or something like that. Type those type of things in and look at what happens to these guys. Now, these MMA guys that nobody fucking know because they're not really that good at what they do, you'll see the difference. These monks that come in here and all, and all of this shit that they do, most of them get knocked the fuck out. But the ones that win, look at their fighting style, but look at who they're fighting against. And if you look at them and the way they fight, it's just like a boxer can't rely strictly on boxing and MMA because you're looking at those certain punches, but at the same time, they're more focused on the takedown, being taken down. You understand what I mean? So when that happens, you have to adapt and adjust to where you're fighting in MMA style. So even if you keep it on your feet, it's good to know how to use your legs, like Holly Holmes learned how to throw kicks. And because otherwise, if you're going in there with a boxing mentality into an MMA sport, what happens when they get past your guard? And if you don't know how to keep them off you, or how to sprawl and how to, get the best of them and what do you do then? I'll say this, then I'm closing. I have like the first, I think 3, or maybe, I think that the first 5 UFC events. Because it's combat sports, I watch, but it was hard for me to get into the UFC back then. Okay, back then they had a guy named Royce Gracie. Royce Gracie was 10-0 when he retired. I couldn't get into his shit. Now, he beat Dan the B7. He beat Ken Shamrock, guys that was 200-something pounds. He's 175 pounds. And I didn't like his kicks wasn't worth a shit. He kicked like an old-ass man. He just threw his foot up. And his whole thing was to try to grab your karate gi, whatever clothing you was wearing. Man, they had guys that had big-ass pot bellies. It was almost like wrestling and like characters and shit. Like, I mean, they were pulling hair. They were all. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, and I couldn't really get into the UFC. And I'm watching it. Okay. Fast forward. He comes back 10 years later. The UFC is by far a new developed company, much better, more seasoned fighters that's been doing this from the time they were kids, unlike in the very beginning. Had a lot of ex-bouncers and stuff, bodyguard, people that just like thought they were tough guys. A lot of these dudes didn't have any actual skill. So now, there's a fighter named Matt Hughes. People saying, what you think, man? Yo, Royce Gracie. I'm like, man, I think Matt Hughes is going to beat the shit out of this dude, man. Like, Royce Gracie he's not versatile. He only has that one style. And he said, nothing can beat my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Nothing. There's no style that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can't beat. I said, nah, the game has changed. He got in there with Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes beat the fuck out of him, made him tap. Now, my point is, the Gracie family is highly respected in MMA. Royce Gracie was highly respected. If he never came back and Matt Hughes didn't go in there and punish him like that, people to this fucking day would be saying, I think if Gracie would have came back, he'd have beat Matt Hughes. He'd beat all these guys now. Yo, he beat 2 heavyweights. But he couldn't beat another 175-pounder. And Matt Hughes. Why is that? Yeah? You understand what I'm saying? Because it was a different sport. At the time he came along, it was different. And all that hair pulling. Now, this is more like a street fight in a cage. And they used to be on these big blue mats and all that shit before they even had the fucking ring in the cage and stuff. So my thing with that is, like I said, people would be able to convince you just by telling you shit. Although we have footage of Royce Gracie. And you would have sat there and watched along and not use your common sense to... My judgment is my judgment, not what you want me to see. I'm looking at things for what they are. And the reality, Royce Gracie, time had came and gone. And the UFC had surpassed him. These fighters are far better fighters now. You telling me that the game of martial arts and everything went like all of a sudden what Bruce was just the blueprint? He knew everything and nobody else? Like, come on, man, stop it. Stop it. Like, and my whole thing is just wake up, people. Stop believing. Remember when Grandmaster, what's his name? No, Melly Mel said he could beat Eminem in the rap battle. It'd be the easiest thing I've ever done. Did you hear that garbage that Melly Mel came up with? And then he had the nerve to end that shit with raw. And I sat there and I said, this is a moment where I wish I had Melly Mel number so I could just call him, hey, Mel, I just want you to know you don't have any friends at all. Because whoever the fuck sat next to you in that studio and listened to that bullshit that you just put out, they don't like you. Eminem could put some, because I thought Eminem's response was weak as fuck, but it was still way better than that shit that Mel put out. That was complete garbage. And then what did Mel do? He took the song down and then he apologized to Eminem. Now, my point is, Melly Mel fans, and if he didn't do what he did, they'd be like, nah, man, Mel from a different era. Mel would kill that boy. He'd school that boy. That's what people do. Just like you all believe Mike Tyson was rejuvenated and he's a better fighter now than he was when he retired. Y'all believed him. And y'all see what happened when he got in there. Stop believing everything you hear, man. And when you can't prove something, why make a comment to try to prove something that you can't prove? Only thing you're going to do is repeat what you've heard. We've all heard the same shit. Who cares? I don't give a fuck about how fast somebody can throw a punch. Yeah, people will look back and go, damn, Aries, you got a fast-ass jet. Yeah, I got fast hands, period. Who can't sit here? You know what I'm saying? Huh? How fast is that shit? 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 How fast is that shit, right? I'm not throwing it at anybody. I'm just throwing a fucking punch, right? Big deal. Do that shit in a fight where it matters. When something's coming at you, you got to time. You got to control distance. You have to know where your foot position, all that shit that you can see. Just Bruce Lee hitting that bag. He don't know shit about any of that. Anyway, Bruce, we got nothing but love for you, man. We just got to straighten your fans and your sheep out, man, because they just be saying a bunch of outlandish shit, man. Anyway, talk to me in the comment section, y'all. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.